As the campaign shifts from Iowa to New Hampshire, one Republican has staked his entire candidacy on that state. Gwen Ifill talked with former Utah Governor Jon Huntsman last night in Manchester.
Governor Huntsman, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
You've had the state of New Hampshire to yourself for a very long time now. 150 appearances you've made here since you started campaigning. Now what?
Well, that wonderfully peaceful period that we've taken advantage of the last several days, we've got this Category 5 storm blowing in called the New Hampshire primary, and we'll have to share that with some others. And it means all of the work that we have done over the course of many months and 151 public appearances, we'll have to leave with the good people of this state, because you get your message out there, you knock on doors, you do town hall meetings endlessly, and you try to win over the trust of the voters, which is never an easy thing to do. And in this state, in order to win over their trust, they've got to know your heart and soul. They've got to know what you're thinking and what you're hoping to do for this country going forward. And they want to look at your past. They want to see what your record is. They want to get to know you, and they want to get to know your family. So we've done all of that, and now we'll let the voters render a judgment in the next few days and live with that.
Well, you're not working in a vacuum anymore. Everybody blew in from Iowa. You weren't there, but certainly you were watching very closely. Is there an Iowa bounce, or at least a possibility that the publicity about Iowa can obliterate what happens here?
There's an Iowa awareness, and I think that Iowa awareness is the fact that 75% of the voters opted not to go with the establishment candidate in Mitt Romney, which means there's a lot of blue sky and a lot of opportunity for other people. But I would argue that New Hampshire is a pretty isolated state in the sense that they're not going to be terribly influenced by the opinions of others outside or by the trends that are set by other states or regions. They don't want to be told for whom to vote.
Is the Republican Party as splintered as it looks right now?
I think it's splintered. I do.
In what way?
Well, in the sense that whether from a foreign policy standpoint, there's some divide between the isolationist wing of Ron Paul, the Cold War mentality of a Mitt Romney. I think there are different opinions on things like tax reform and how deep to cut and how to deal with Social Security and Medicare. I think there are a lot of differing opinions right now.
What is your path to victory in New Hampshire, and assuming that you can do well here after that?
Our path to victory in New Hampshire is exceeding market expectations, because as you go up in the polls, so go the expectations. They change. So when we entered New Hampshire at the very beginning, months ago, the expectations were nothing. We were the margin of error candidates. We've gone up now in third place. The expectations change, and I think in the days ahead, we're going to continue to rocket upward. And that means the marketplace expectations are going to change commensurately.
As you pointed out, everyone has had their surge in this race. Everyone has had their chance to be the anti-Romney. So how do you surge?
Well, you surge by putting out your record, which compared and contrasted with Romney's is dramatically different. I'm running on a reform-minded agenda, which is saying we have two deficits that we must deal with in this country if we're going to get out of the hole we're in. One is an economic deficit, and it's going to call for a bold tax reform package. And it's very similar to what I did in my own state, where I delivered a flat tax, phasing out all the loopholes and deductions in total. No more corporate welfare, no more subsidies. It also impacts the lobbying activity that carries on to promote $1.1 trillion in nonsense. Romney's calling for a little trimming around the edges on tax reform, so we come at it from different perspectives. My state was #1 in job creation. His state was number 47. When you compare and contrast on the other deficit side, not an economic deficit, it's a trust deficit. And that is, I believe this nation is suffering a trust deficit, almost as corrosive as the economic deficit. And that is, our people no longer trust the institutions of power in this country.
Are you suggesting that Mitt Romney isn't trustworthy?
I'm saying when you have half of Congress supporting you, you're not going to be inclined to want to take on the institution that needs to be changed.
Why can't that be Mitt Romney?
How can you do it when you're protected and supported by the status quo, which is Congress, an institution that carries 8% approval by the American people.
What about Ron Paul? He got a pretty significant group of new participants in the process in Iowa, independent voters who I'm sure you'd love to have. Is there a way you can speak to those voters, or are they unbudgeable?
No question about it. If you were to disaggregate our town hall meeting in New Hampshire, the average town hall meeting, you would see that there are Republicans, a whole lot of independents, and even Democrats who are showing up. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for somebody who can transcend politics. I think that's a critically important aspect.
How do you get them not
success in this election cycle?
How do you get them not to go with Ron Paul? He seems to transcend politics in the eyes of so many of his supporters.
Well, many of them who come to these town hall meetings would say that he's unelectable at the end of the day. He'll carry maybe a 15% support rate, approval rating consistently for 3 election cycles running now. But in terms of being able to go the distance where you can actually beat Barack Obama, it's not going to happen.
You talk about electability, but I don't think we often define what that means. Does electability mean me? You're electable if you're me? Or are there a set of qualities that people should be looking for? Is it just, I seem like on a good day I might be able to beat Barack Obama? What does it mean?
A proven track record that speaks to leadership, the kind of leadership that allows you to coalesce enough support to succeed in electoral politics. Because at the end of the day, the math has to work for you to win an election. To be electable, you've got to actually convince some people who voted for Barack Obama last time to vote for you.
Does that mean you consider yourself a moderate, someone who could appeal to people like that?
It means I have cross-cutting appeal. If you look at my record, it would speak to being a consistent conservative.
Wait a second, why not call yourself a moderate? Cross-cutting appeal? Is that a bad word?
Well, we get folks from a lot of different political spectrums. I don't think, it's a bad word at all. I have a hard time with people putting labels on your forehead. I think that's unfair in politics. And some people actually confuse a moderate temperament with a moderate track record.
I finally want to ask you, put on your analyst hat, because one of your supporters, Tom Ridge, the former governor of Pennsylvania, was interviewed, and he was asked about your chances, and this is what he said. He has a shot at second, maybe. Maybe? Second?
I love surrounding myself with hard-headed realists. Now, if I surrounded myself with spin artists, you know what you'd be hearing. Mm-hmm. I surround myself with hard-headed realists.
Are you one of them?
I am a hard-headed realist. Absolutely I am. And I say we've come from last place. We now find ourselves in third. There's a lot more blue sky to go in the days ahead. And I say we're going to beat market expectations.
Governor Huntsman, thank you.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very
you.
much.
While polls showed Huntsman in third place last night, today some put him in fourth, trailing Romney, Paul, and Gingrich.